Durandar.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Okay, I saw the trailer for this. It looks nuts, over the top, epic scale. Tell me about Durandar.
Okay, so this is essentially it's Donnie Brasco, but for terrorism. So the movie kind of runs parallel with true Indian history. Back in the early 2000s, some terrorists, Pakistani terrorists, took over an airplane, and they negotiated the release, giving them money and releasing prisoners. And then a few years later, these terrorists then go on and staged an assault on Indian Parliament and almost succeeded. One had a bomb strapped to them, and that guy got very close to Indian Parliament. It's so two terrorist attacks from Pakistan. What do you do? And so what one of the secret intelligence bureau chief, AJ Sanyal, he decides we got to play the long game. What we're going to do is we're going to send in Indian secret agents. They're going to go into the city. They're going to infiltrate the Pakistani mafia and get in real close and start gathering intelligence and to hopefully thwart any kind of terrorist attack that might occur in the near future. And so that's where this gentleman, the poster, comes. His name's Hamza. They fly him into Afghanistan. He sneaks into Pakistan, goes to the city of Liria. I believe that's how it's pronounced. Liria is a very important city. It's basically a politically powerful city. If you own Liria, you own Pakistan. And so he goes in, meets up with another operative who runs a juice shop. And he says, look, if you're going to infiltrate the mafia, you gotta play the long game. And for years, he's working at this juice shop until by chance, they're catering one of the mafia leaders, Raymond Ducat, whose son is having a birthday party. They're catering the birthday party. And in this, his father, Baba Ducat, sends in men to kill his grandson. And Hamza is there to stop it. And as a result, thanks, you're in the organization. And he gets involved in the counterfeiting business that is going on. They're counterfeiting weapons. They're also doing this big thing where they've gotten plates of Indian dollars, and they are now doing one of the largest counterfeit schemes imaginable. And so Hamza is there. There comes a point where the father tries to kill his son, and Hamza is instrumental in making sure that the son is defeated, or the father is defeated. And now basically Hamza becomes the number 3 in it. And so this movie starts there. The first half plays out like Godfather 2. This guy who plays Raymond Ducat, he looks just like Michael Corleone from Godfather 2. So the first half of the movie is him getting in this organization, and then midway through the movie leads to the Mumbai terrorist attack on November 26th, where dozens of people were killed by terrorists, by a terrorist attack. And it's at that point that Hamza says, okay, I've really got to stop these people, because he sort of aided these terrorists from doing that. And that's the second half of this movie, of him taking care of that. This movie, like I said, it's Donnie Brasco, but for terrorism. There's a lot of singing, a lot of dancing. There's also the violence is it's hyper violence. People blow up, body parts fly around. There's lots of blood, lots of gunplay, lots of torture. I found this movie very fascinating. I really liked it. That's why I'm throwing it in the Godfather category, because it's 3.5 hours long.
Right.
And if you've seen Godfather 1, that's practically 3 hours long itself.
Yeah.
And so you're in it for the long haul. I'll say this. I looked up the Indian and Pakistani press about this movie, because during the first half of the movie, I kept thinking to myself, this feels a little bit like Indian propaganda, because it's very anti-Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, is this true? Am I just feeling it? And when I looked at the Indian press about this movie is doing like a 6, 7 out of 10. And those are the comments that are coming out of this movie. It just everyone, the people who hate it says it's Indian propaganda. Pakistan has basically banned this movie. But interestingly enough, some people in Pakistan are basically saying, yeah, but it's kind of true.
Yeah. I was gonna say, when you were describing what's happened, isn't Pakistan always trying to attack India?
I mean, just in January, Trump had to settle things between Pakistan and India because they were about to go to full war. And so it's so, I realize we have a lot of Indian viewers who are going to see this. I'll say I really like this movie as an action movie. I liked it as this subversive, undercover agent, infiltrating the mafia. And they set up, look, this movie wraps up all its loose ends, and then it sets up the sequel. Because in the end of the movie, you realize you figure out they reveal who Hamza really is and how that's going to play into the sequel. And the other funny thing is the Indian government won't confirm whether this movie is true or not, because they don't want to admit that they've sent in operatives.
Oh, that they have secret agents.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is based on true stories, assuming that India is putting people in Pakistan to infiltrate the mafia. And I'll just say, regarding the anti-Pakistani, the movie makes a weak attempt at saying, no, we're really going after Pakistani terrorists, not the people of the country. But they certainly could have done a better job explaining that.
Well, I care about the action. If if the action's good, but it's it's based loosely on truth.
Yeah, if it's actually true.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say. I mean, look, when they put movie villains in a film, there has to be some shred of realistic. It doesn't represent all people, like all Italians. That when
we used to do that to the Russians during the Cold War,
right? But like when Godfather was being made, the very first Godfather movie, there was concern in the Italian community that it would make Italians look like everyone who's Italian is in the mafia. Well, obviously we know that's not true, but if that's why I'm disappointed today. We can't even make a movie where it's like, based in any kind of truth at all. Right. Yeah. Like no truth. It's like, there's gotta be, if there's a little shred, like, oh yeah, that's sort of ripped up from the headlines or from real life. We can't do that in America because it might disparage one group that's actually doing those things.
Yeah.
But
now let me make the obvious comparison now to RRR. The reason RRR is a better movie is because it has heart. It's a story about brothers. It's a story about patriotism. It just surrounds that topic. This one is purely about espionage and action and violence, and that's, to be honest, that's good enough reason to see the movie. But you're not gonna get a heartfelt story that you got in RRR.